skin, cute girl with a preppy vibe. Came to the spot with a friend of mine, she caught my eye. From the beginning, I was hooked, I can't tell a lie. Fresh, dressed and fly, I respect her mind. Some dudes trying to impress, but looking goofy at the same time. He bugging, she looking, I'm going for mine. Confidently I approach with that eye-to-eye contact. She smiling.
All right, you all, come on in, come on in. I'm STEMFashionista, and welcome to the check-in. We've got a lot to unpack tonight because there are developments happening across multiple fronts, okay? And depending on where you're getting your news from, it could all look very, very different. We're going to walk through what's actually being reported, what's confirmed, and what all this could mean. From escalation concerns regarding Operation Epic Fury to what's unfolding here back on the home front. Because at this point, the real question is, are we actually watching escalation or are we watching positioning? Let's get into it. All right. So for our first clip, we are going to take a look at what Iran has to say about attacking American universities that are over in the Middle East. Okay. Let's get into that.
But we begin with that breaking news in the Middle East. Israel now confirming strikes on targets in Tehran and other parts of the country overnight. The attack being called one of the heaviest since the fighting began. More U.S. troops are also in the region. The Pentagon confirming some 2,500 Marines accompanied by 2,500 sailors from the USS Tripoli Amphibious Ready Group are now in position. Happening now. Pakistani officials are hosting talks with foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt in the country's efforts to mediate the fighting across the region. And Iranian leaders say Washington has until noon, Tehran time, on March 30th to condemn alleged strikes on 2 Iranian universities or face strikes on American universities with campuses in.
So let me pause right there. So now we have Iran giving deadlines in the same way that Trump did. Okay, let's continue.
In the Middle East. A lot to get through this morning, a busy Sunday. Reporter Robert Swift joining me live from Tel Aviv this morning. Robert, good morning from New York. What's the latest on the ground where you are in Tel Aviv?
Good morning. What we're understanding is that there has been a night of heavy bombardments in Tehran with one local monitoring group, the Human Rights Activist News Agency, saying it was actually the heaviest night of bombardment in that area since the beginning of the war. Now, we know that there's been strikes in Tehran, and we also know that there's been strikes in Bandar Kamir. That is potentially significant because that is a port city in the south of Iran, close to the Straits of Hormuz. Now, the IDF themselves have said this morning and over the weekend in several statements that they have been conducting waves of attacks against targets inside Iran. They said specifically that they targeted Tehran itself and other unspecified locations around the country. Now, interestingly, the IDF said just this morning that it had begun targeting mobile command centers belonging to the Iranian military. This as a result of the command and control systems of the Iranian military having to go mobile due to the damage they have taken since the start of the war. Now, of course, as you've said, all of this, the intensity of these strikes and the build-up of troops in the region, this is all taking place at the same time as negotiations are taking place in Pakistan. Those talks due to take place for 2 days, they have begun. The foreign ministers of Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt are in country, and they are being hosted by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Whether anything comes of this, this carrot and stick approach, that remains to be seen, but these talks, as I say, due to take place for the next 2 days.
Let me stop right there. So apparently they're saying that, okay, if I heard this correct, okay, Iran is saying that they're giving, I guess, Israel and the U.S. until 30 March noon, their time, to condemn what's happening at the universities over there. Okay, and then you have Trump giving us a suspense to 06 April to open up the Strait of Hormuz. and all these things. So if they are actually negotiating, y'all will help me out here. If they are negotiating, why are they giving out these suspenses, if you will? Can somebody help me understand that in the chat here? Also, if you're here, welcome to the check-in. Glad that you decided to hang out with me. Please like the live so I can get pushed onto the algorithm. And if you feel inclined, go ahead and support by subscribing to this platform. Let's keep it going.
So, Robert, as these negotiations take place in the capital of Pakistan, in Islamabad, I want to go back to the deadline that Iran gave the U.S. in the last few hours, threatening to target university campuses in the Middle East. What more are we learning about that?
Yeah, so this is a statement that's come from the IRGC. It's being reported in Iranian media. And essentially, they've placed a deadline of 12 p.m. tomorrow, that being Monday. And they've said that staff and students at U.S. academic institutions around the Middle East should evacuate those institutions by at least 1 kilometer. Now, they've said that this threat to attack and that this deadline is in response to attacks that were conducted over the weekend at the Tehran University of Science and Technology, which they said was targeted by the U.S. and Israel. What do we actually know on that? The IDF has said over the weekend that some of the attacks it conducted in Tehran were targeting weapons research and storage facilities. There's some speculation that these two events are one and the same, and that this is a direct IRGC response to the attack on this university. Now, we've seen since the start of the war, often Iran has responded to attacks on a specific type of target by trying to find similar targets around the Middle East and then launch attacks there. Interestingly, the IRGC has said it expects an apology from the US by the end of that deadline, or it will launch attacks of its own. This possibly, once again, the Iranians trying to find a gap in the stance of both of Israel and the United States, trying to drive a wedge in between the two there. Of course, very much unclear if they're likely to succeed in that regard at all.
Yeah, and those universities you mentioned, I've actually been in Dubai. Those are huge campuses, so this is a big story we'll keep an eye on. Robert Swift, on the ground.
Okay, that's interesting. So I wanted to see, did anything come of that? And so I looked it up, see what I can find real quick. It's saying that two universities that have shut their doors aren't closing permanently. So American University of Beirut announced its campus in Lebanon's capital will be closed from 30 March to 31. And Georgetown University said early March 30th that its campus building in Qatar is closing for the notice. So both schools will continue to operate online. So I'm not sure. I haven't seen where anything has happened. They're showing that New York University's Abu Dhabi campus moved to remote instruction earlier this month. Let's see. Okay, there's a New York University in the UAE, Carnegie Mellon, Northwestern, and Texas A&M have locations in Qatar. So as of right now, I'm not seeing anything in the news as far as any attacks on American universities, and I'm glad about that. But I don't know if the United States issued that apology that they were seeking. What do you guys know? Let's see what you guys got saying here in the chat. We have Joy M1635. Welcome to the check-in, saying 50,000 troops. Yeah. We have Galapagos GDC saying, when will it be enough? Okay, we got James Ferris here saying, how you doing? Good evening. How you doing, sir? Okay, so we have that kicking off right there. Okay, so next we have American troops arriving over there in the Middle East. So we may get confirmation on that count for the troops, okay? Let's go ahead and get into that.
The U.S. says the first ground forces have arrived in the Iran region, with more preparing to ship out. ABC's Allison Kosick has more on the situation.
With the war now in its second month, there is growing concern the U.S. could put boots on the ground for military operations inside Iran. The first U.S. ground troops have arrived in the Middle East, 3,500 sailors and Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, equipped with transport and strike fighter aircraft and amphibious assault capabilities. A second Marine unit is expected to arrive in the region in May. And another 1,500 soldiers from the Army's elite 82nd Airborne are also preparing to deploy. Those troops trained to parachute behind enemy lines. Lawmakers urging President Trump to consult Congress before sending in ground troops. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise would not speculate if such a move would receive widespread Republican support.
Obviously, you're seeing troop movement, and we've got a number of bases in that region, too, that have been there for a long time. So until that day comes, I'm not going to speculate, and you're not going to see the president go negotiate this in public.
Democratic Senator Andy Kim criticizing the possibility of U.S. boots on the ground in Iran, telling CNN,
"We cannot have American troops on the ground in Iran. This is going to be such a risky operation."
Meanwhile, U.S. and Israeli attacks continue, missiles lighting up the skies in Tehran over the weekend. This as Iran's armed forces say they would target the homes of American, Israeli commanders and political officials in the region as retaliation for attacking their citizens. President Trump says he could see a deal with Iran soon.
Probably, I think we'll make a deal with them, pretty sure. Whether it's possible, we won't.
Okay, so Trump just said that they could make a deal. He's been saying that the negotiations are going really well. I guess I don't understand, if negotiations are going really well, why are we still seeing all these attacks? Why are we sending so many troops over there? Like, help me understand. Do you guys think that, we're escalating right now? 62% of you guys said yes, definitely. 24% said not sure yet. And then 14% said nope, it's being overhyped. Okay. I think that with the media, stating that how we're bringing all these different troops over there, on the Tripoli and all of that, that's giving the Iranians the idea that, the U.S. is planning to, put some boots on the ground, if you will, and they're preparing to, have an altercation. That's kind of what I think they are assuming those things are intimating for them, okay? But yes, y'all, the U.S. troops have arrived over there, and they are getting ready to, I guess, execute the mission, as they say. Now, what do we have here in the chat? We have Michael Roylance. Welcome to the check-in, saying there goes your home. We have Slap saying this is not a surprise in this world. Okay, understood. And let's see. Yeah, that's understood. Okay. So yes, y'all, there was something else going on this weekend with I think it's called Haifa, where an oil refinery was attacked over there in Israel. To my understanding, it was attacked twice last summer during last summer's operation event, and then again second time in this current Operation Epic Fury situation. So it's interesting how they have all these what they call it? We have all of these oil refineries, energy infrastructure, and that they are intentionally attacking one another's assets. So very intriguing, and I'm trying to figure out how are they able to get all that stuff repaired. If you've been attacked twice in this oil refinery, at what point do you get attacked and it's not something that you can repair quickly, if that makes sense? But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and see what they have to say about the oil refinery over there in Israel. Let's get into it.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my question. I have two for you real quick. There are reports that Republicans are weighing cuts to...
My bad, y'all. I meant this. What we have next is Karoline Leavitt. She did a press secretary session, and she had some insight regarding Operation Epic Fury and other things. So let's get into that first.
Care in order to make way for that $200 billion for the Pentagon and Operation Epic Fury. Is that a trade-off that President Trump supports?
I've seen these reports. I haven't spoken to the president about it, nor have I heard this being discussed in any high-level meetings here at the White House. I don't want to weigh in definitively because I just haven't heard that being discussed here in the West Wing.
And then secondly, I know President Trump says we're ahead of schedule in achieving his military objectives in Iran. He laid out that 4 to 6 week timetable for this conflict, and we're now within week 5. So how do you square kind of those two?
Well, I just provided you with some of the updates from the Pentagon directly in achieving the objectives, and the military has been enormously successful. I think we should all be very proud of our armed forces for what they have done over the past 30 days. The mission will continue until the objectives are achieved, and that 4 to 6 week timeline does remain right now. I don't have any updates for you on that.
Karoline.
Let me just say this. I knew when this kicked off that 4 to 6 week time frame for this activity, this Operation Epic Fury, it was going to exceed that. I knew it. And we're on week 5 now, and things are ramping up every day, not de-escalating. Okay, what do you all think about that? Tell me in the chat. Let's keep it going.
Like others, one on TSA, one on Iran. On Iran, I know it's tough to engage in hypotheticals, but I feel like this is one that you could engage in if the president does seek.
Probably not, but
We'll see. If the president does seek, or the United States seeks a ground war, does he intend to get congressional authorization of that march?
Look, the president has been asked about boots on the ground or alleged ground operations various times. He's obviously declined to rule them out. It's the Pentagon's job to provide maximum optionality to the president. It does not mean he's made a decision, nor would he ever notify the media of such decision as not to tip off our enemy. With respect to abiding by Congress and the rule of law, that's something the administration will, of course, always do. And it's something that we have great respect for Congress. The president does with military operations. In fact, prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury, as you know, the administration gave a courtesy notice to Congress in the Gang of Eight, and top-level administration officials and cabinet secretaries have gone to Congress multiple times over the past 30 days to provide those courtesy briefings to Congress when requested.
TSA quickly, I've been asked by multiple Trump supporters that have said, given the fact that the president on that Friday gave that memorandum informing DHS to pay TSA workers, I know there's a lot of negotiations involved in a shutdown of this size. Why did the president not sooner issue that payment to TSA workers?
Well, it's because of the Democrats voting 7 times against reopening the Department of Homeland Security that we came to a place of an existential crisis. I mean, you saw the lines at various major airports across the country, American travelers really paying the price for Democrats' partisan games. And so the president worked with his legal team here at the White House and the Office of Management and Budget to find a solution to take care of the emergency that we were seeing in air travel across the country. And it's because of the president that TSA agents are being paid. But again, he's calling on Congress to do the right thing, to come back to Washington, and to fund and reopen the Department of Homeland Security fully. Sure.
Hi, Lindsay Ellis from the Wall Street Journal. I'm trying to square the 4 objectives laid out by the administration with the goal of reopening fully the Strait of Hormuz. Would President Trump declare victory and wind down military operations if the 4 objectives are met, but still passage remains quite slow through the strait?
Look, as I've said repeatedly and as the president has laid out, the objectives of Operation Epic Fury are as follows: destroying the Iranian Navy, destroying their ballistic missiles, dismantling their defense industrial infrastructure that produces those weapons that have long threatened the United States and our allies, and then, of course, preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. The full reopening of the strait is something the administration is working towards, but the core objectives of the operation have been clearly defined for the American people by the Commander-in-Chief.
Let me say this. So what you're going to notice here is that they're going to start really laying in on the objectives, the objectives, because, we're going to make sure that we are reaching our objectives. Okay. That's the term that they're using this week, objectives. Okay. And them being met, because when you're looking at it from the outside in and you're looking at how Strait of Hormuz is pretty much still locked down by Iran. Okay, to people who aren't familiar with the objectives, you're thinking, oh, wait a minute. Well, they're not winning. So they have to change that narrative. So it's like, okay, what are our objectives? We need to destroy their navy, destroy their ability to make more weapons. You know, da 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 da. These are our objectives. Okay. Now, the bigger objective that most people are seeing or thinking is objective is the Strait of Hormuz being open, because that's impacting our pockets. Okay. Now we have Mr. Ken Bellamy saying that in Florida, gas is $4.29 per gallon. And here in Maryland, I just saw gas at $4 a gallon for regular. Okay, so we're focused on Strait of Hormuz and how the oil isn't being moved out. Okay, and how we have seen over $1 increase in our gallons per gas. Okay, but the administration is reiterating for the good people what the objectives are. Okay, so they don't want us to get confused with the objectives versus what is in our reality that affects our personal economy. Okay, let's continue on with this.
The president posted this morning about, his threat that on leaving Iran, he said we might blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, Harg Island, and possibly all desalinization plants. Under international law, striking civilian infrastructure like that is generally prohibited. Why is the president threatening what would amount to potentially a war crime with the U.S. military? And how do you square that with the administration repeatedly saying that the U.S. does not target civilians?
Look, the president has made it quite clear to the Iranian regime at this moment in time, as evidenced by the statement that you just read, that their best move is to make a deal, or else the United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, and the president is not afraid to use them. That's not what I said, Garrett, and you're saying the word potential for a reason, because I'm sure some experts are telling you that in your ear to try to ask me that question. Of course, this administration and the United States Armed Forces will always act within.
Okay, so we heard what Miss Caroline Leavitt had to say, and like I said, she reiterated what the objectives were. Okay, so what are you guys saying here in the chat? We have Lily Sanchez saying, I think I saw her nose grow 2 feet. Welcome to the check-in, Miss Lily. So if you're here hanging out, make sure you like the live stream, push me into the algorithm, and if you're so inclined, go ahead and subscribe and support the channel. It is free, all right? So now we're going to watch the video about Haifa. That's the oil refinery that got hit this past weekend. It was hit twice during Operation last summer, and this is the second hit that it sustained during Operation Epic Fury. Let's get into that.
And Nida, I'd like to start first of all with the situation in Haifa. We're seeing pictures of smoke billowing out of a major oil refinery there in Haifa. It was after it was targeted. What more do we know about that?
Well, we don't have official information as to what happened inside Haifa's oil refinery, but we've seen these pictures that we are showing on our screen right now about the hit that could have happened from shrapnel from the Iranian-fired or Hezbollah-fired missiles, as well as or it could be from an intercepting missile. This is unclear at the moment, but what's clear is that there was a joint and a coordinated attack between Hezbollah and Iran against northern Israel, with the Israeli ambulance talking about impact sites reported in 7 different locations, not just in Haifa, but also in other areas in the Galilee and in northern Israel, leading to 2 injuries. One of them is critical. Now, while we wait to see what caused this fire, what caused this specific fire, we can talk about the Bazan oil refinery in Haifa that has been hit 4 times in 1 year, 2 times in the previous 12-day war between Israel and Iran last June, but now it's the second hit during this war. And in the first one, we've heard the oil refinery say that some of its facilities have incurred damage that took a few days to fix, but now we are looking at yet another hit to the oil refinery that has that provides the Israelis with energy, energy, with oil, it has a petrochemical facility as well, but it also exports to the outside world. So such a hit could also affect its business, could affect its ability to operate, but also its standing in global markets. We are looking at a strategic asset, and usually when these things happen, the Israeli military censor is alive, is very much at work trying to diminish and limit how much visuals, how much is being shared with the public about the intensity of this attack.
Let me say this, for them to be able to fix damage in a few days, that's impressive. I just want to say that, because I would think if you got oil refinery hit, that it would take you maybe weeks or months to get it together, but they said 3 days. So I'm assuming it wasn't that big of a damage, but when you see all that black smoke coming from this oil refinery, I'm thinking it's a pretty bad hit, right? So also we have Delonta Quarles in the chat here. Welcome to the check-in. Let's continue.
As part of all of this, Israel's military now being ordered to push further into Lebanon.
Well, this seems to be the Israeli strategy. They're very adamant on diminishing the threat of Hezbollah, on disarming the group, and part of doing that requires them, according to the Israeli defense minister, to push deeper into southern Lebanon, not just to the south of the Litani River, but also they're talking about areas in the north, because they have been saying that a significant number of rockets being fired from Hezbollah are being fired from the north of the Litani River. They talk about capabilities that the group had that they did not anticipate, that they had been underwhelmed or basically underestimating the power of Hezbollah. But since this battle, since this round of fighting between them had started, we've been hearing more and more officials saying that Hezbollah has hundreds of rockets. Some of them can reach very far away places, as we've seen in the beginning of the war. One mid-range missile managed to arrive or to hit areas in Beit Shemesh, that's very close to Jerusalem, a place where there's a lot of Israeli strategic assets and military sites. At the time, it was revealed that it was a satellite station that had been hit, but this is something that the Israelis have taken very seriously, and they've said that they need to push more soldiers and occupy more lands in southern Lebanon in order to achieve that goal. Whether they will be able to do that, it's very contentious, according to certain military analysts who say that the Hezbollah has the upper hand when it comes to the battles on the ground, can know the lay of the land very well, but they still argue, the Israeli defense minister, that they have the support of the US, that they have the military technologies, that they have control over the air as well. So you're seeing this debate being reflected in Israeli media amongst Israeli officials, but what's clear is that the government shows no intention to backtrack on its plans to push further and deeper into southern Lebanon.
Today, Pakistan announced.
Okay, let me say this. First of all, Mr. Greg Watkins, thank you for being here. Yes, y'all, please hit the like button. Help push me into the algorithm. If you so are inclined, support the channel by subscribing. Now, what I want to say here is that, yet again, we have Israel wanting to push further into Lebanon. Okay, we just saw how they hit the Haifa oil refinery, but yet we have negotiations going on, right? So I'm not understanding how we're negotiating, but we still have all these war tactics taking place. Okay, and poor Pakistan, they're trying to get everybody together, to come together and negotiate and come to an agreement. But I don't think people are in the right headspace to negotiate and come to a diplomatic agreement. What do you all think? Let's keep it going.
That the country would host talks between the U.S. and Iran in the coming days. Neither the U.S. or Iran has confirmed when these talks would take place, or whether they would be direct or indirect, or who would be involved in these talks. Oil prices rose today after Iran issued the warning to the U.S. about a possible ground invasion. Brent crude went up $115 a barrel, and U.S. crude rose to $102 a barrel. Right now, the national average for a gallon of regular gas is sitting at $3.93.
Okay, y'all. So we got the update on what's going on with that. They just said that the national average is $3.93 for regular gas. Like I said, where I'm at, it's $4, and where Mr. Ken Bellamy's at, it's $4.29. And that's crazy. Okay, so another thing I want to say is that okay, we have Pakistan wanting to be, the mediator, but the question still remains: who are they mediating with that's over in Iran? Who is it? As we have stated before over the last couple of weeks, the Ayatollah, he was unalived within the first couple of days of the attacks. The son who became the new Ayatollah, we haven't really heard from him since they said he allegedly got hurt. And so, Trump is saying that he got this big, beautiful gift where Iran allowed like 10 boats to go through the Hormuz Strait of Hormuz. Okay. And now he's saying that they're going to allow, I think, 10 more to go through. Okay, so I guess because they're allowing the boats to go through, he's saying, well, yeah, that's how we know we're dealing with the right people because these things are being promised and they're happening. But are the people that you are negotiating, are these the people that's in charge, that's out here, got these folks doing these things? You know what I'm saying? That's doing all of these attacks against Haifa and all these other things. Are we talking to the same people, y'all? Okay, that is the question. What do we have here in the chat? We have Jacob saying long live Trump. We have Mike Taggart saying can't trust them. And we have Jeanette Burns saying it's 375 in New Hampshire. Wow. Welcome to the check-in, everybody. Glad that you're here. Okay. So next, we're going to look at what Trump had to say because he said he has options, honey, and that the negotiations are going well. Okay. So let's see what he has to say about all of that. Let's get into it.
Meanwhile, to the Middle East, President Trump says Iran is letting oil flow through the Strait of Hormuz once again as thousands of U.S. troops arrive in the region.
Rich Edson is live at the White House with the details. Good morning, Rich.
Good morning, Lawrence, Rachel, and Brian. President Trump says he's having very good negotiations with the Iranians. He says he will probably cut a deal with them, but he says it's possible he does not. The president also says that Iran gave yet another indication that it is serious about an agreement.
They gave us as a tribute, I don't know, I can't define it exactly, but they gave us, I think out of a sign of respect, 20 boats of oil, big, big boats of oil going through the Hormuz Strait. And that's taking place starting tomorrow morning. Over the next couple of days, a lot of boats.
Yeah, the president spoke on Air Force One last evening, returning to the White House from Florida. With the U.S. boosting its troop presence in the region, the Speaker of Iran's parliament accused the president of negotiating while secretly planning a ground invasion. One Democrat says the president's claims of talks are nonsense.
Oh, I think he's flat out lying. Last Sunday when he was told, and by the way, we're in exactly the same position today, oil prices now $112 a barrel and, futures in the stock market down 2%. Last Sunday, he realized, oh my God, I've got a financial cataclysm on Monday. So he just made it up that they're in negotiations with the Iranians.
Now, there are more questions from Congress about that troop presence and whether the president plans on using them in a ground invasion. The president says he has options.
Are you considering still putting boots on the ground, and would you do that without going to Congress?
I just have lots of alternatives. We have tremendous numbers of ships over there. We don't need them all because of, the power. We're ahead of schedule with Iran.
Iran has its own list of demands. It wants the United States to lift sanctions, pay reparations, and also acknowledge that Iran has sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Back to you guys.
All right, we'll see what's going to happen. The bottom line is when this ends, Iran cannot be in control of that strait. They can't be decided in a month or two, we're going to shut it down again. This will be an ongoing display of power. So hopefully the USS Tripoli will answer that.
See what happens.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had someone calling me, and I don't know why that my system allowed it to go through. I thought I had things on Do Not Disturb. Can you all hear me? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Sorry about that. So we were just talking about, okay, Trump saying he has all of these options, okay? Are you guys responding to me? Let's see. He has all these options and whatnot. So, okay, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. Okay. So he has all these options when it comes to what he's going to do for his next steps. And he's giving, Iran until I guess April the 6th to open up Strait of Hormuz. And I just don't know if that's going to happen. I think that Iran is waiting for the U.S. troops to arrive, and they had some big things they was going to say. Okay, we're going to get into that a little bit later on in our session here, okay? But next up, we are going to talk about Rubio. But what are you all saying here in the chat first? Let me get over here first. So we have we have in my box saying, haha, oil tankers, haha, they gave nothing. Those that asked Iran got oil. Okay. Then we have the SV Rider one saying, LMAO, the day I believe what a dim says. Okay. Let's see. What else we got here? We have Carib Man saying, why would they give oil when they are being attacked? My understanding is that he was, and I don't know, right? But it sounds like he was saying that it was a big gift, and maybe it was a sign of them letting him know that you're talking to the right people, that are, that are in control right now. I'm not sure, but that's a great question. I agree with you on that. Then we have in my box saying Iran is allowing some tankers out, but won't let any in to fill up. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that information, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and see what Rubio has to say. And okay, and guess what? He's going to reiterate those objectives, right? Because I feel like what they're doing right now is because they're being told in the media, like, hey, you guys are not meeting the need. Okay, you went into this war, you didn't confirm with Congress first, but you saw how Caroline Leavitt said, well, they've been giving updates as required, but they didn't go before Congress to ask their permission, I guess, to do the war, right? To go into this exchange here. So they have been saying things like, okay, well, we've been meeting with the Big Eight. I think it's called the Big Eight or the Great Eight. I forgot the term, but they met with those folks, been giving updates and all those things. And now they're asking, okay, well, if we need to go beyond this 4 to 6 weeks and we need to go into full-on war and have ground troops out, are you going to go before Congress at that time? And what was her answer? Her answer was, "Oh, we're keeping Congress informed. We're providing updates as needed." Da 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 da. Okay, so yeah, that's what's going on with that. So, like I said, listen in. They're gonna be talking about objectives a couple of times here because now it's about optics. We're meeting our objective, right? Forget about the Strait of Hormuz being closed. We're meeting our objective, right? So they're trying to make sure that you're looking more at that opposed to at, hey, Strait of Hormuz is closed. Hey, gas is going up. Hey, farmers can't get, fertilizer. We may have an issue with crops, later on this season. That type of thing. Let's go ahead and get into this.
Talking about taking the oil on Karg Island. How would he do this? Why would he do this? Won't it take ground troops?
Well, first of all, it's important to remember the objectives of this operation from the very beginning. We are destroying Iran's navy. We are destroying their ability to their missile launchers by a significant percentage. We're going to wipe out their defense industrial base, meaning their ability to make new missiles and new drones in the future, because it poses a great threat to the region. This Iran that you're seeing now, this is Iran at its weakest point. Imagine them 2 years from now if they had thousands of more missiles, thousands of more missile launchers and factories to make even more. That was an unacceptable risk. It needed to be addressed, and President Trump is addressing it. Now, they are making threats about controlling the Hormuz Straits in perpetuity, creating a tolling system and the like. That's not going to be allowed to happen. And the president has a number of options available to him if he so chooses to prevent that from happening. Obviously, I'm not going to discuss what those options are, and we're not going to discuss military tactics. The Department of War would be in charge of those things. I'd refer you to them, but obviously they're not going to discuss it with you either. But there is a way forward here to achieve our objectives. We are going to achieve our objectives in a matter of weeks, not months.
Well, but let's talk about taking the oil, because the president laid out that objective last night. And taking the oil will take ground troops, won't it?
Well, again, the Iranians are threatening that they're going to set up some permanent system in the Straits of Hormuz where they get to decide who goes through international waterways. That will never be allowed to happen. By the way, the rest of the world should take note of that. They have more at stake there than we do. We get very little of our energy in this country coming through the Straits of Hormuz. The rest of the world gets a lot more. That said, the president has several options at his disposal, and the Department of War is preparing optionality for the president for this and various other contingencies that might arise. That's what always needs to happen in situations like this. But what I want the American people and the people watching this broadcast to know is that fundamentally what this is about is the destruction of their Air Force, which has been largely achieved, the destruction of their Navy, which has been largely achieved, the destruction of their factories that they make all these weapons with, which is we're well on our way to achieving, and a substantial reduction in the number of missile launchers that they have so that they cannot continue to threaten their neighbors in the future. All of those objectives are being met on or ahead of schedule, and should be able to achieve in a matter of weeks.
As you're speaking, though, the president is expanding the objectives. Just a couple minutes ago, he put out a post on Truth Social saying that we're in discussions now with a new and more reasonable regime in Iran, but he also added that if those discussions don't yield fruit, the United States will blow up and completely obliterate all of their electric generating plants, all their oil wells, and Karg Island, and possibly all desalinization plants, which we have purposely not yet touched, is what he said. That's a great expansion of the objectives.
Well, I think the first point the president makes is he prefers diplomacy. As I said, those efforts are nascent. There is messages being relayed back and forth, some conversations going on, including through intermediaries, and he always prefers that. Look, if the Iranian regime had come forward at any point in the past and said, we're going to walk away from our nuclear ambitions, we're going to do nuclear energy the way every other country in the world, primarily, almost every other country in the world does it, and that is through a peaceful means in which you bring in the fuel and it's supervised and so forth. We're going to stop supporting terrorist groups across the region. Look at this region. Every single terrorist group in this region has a link to the Iranian regime. Every single one. The Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Shia militias that are attacking everyone out of Iraq. Every single one of these groups and all the destabilization in this region tracks directly back to the Iranian regime. Those things have to be addressed. And if Iran had been willing to address those in the past, we wouldn't be having this interview on this topic right now. Their refusal to do so and their continuing move towards one day acquiring a nuclear capability, these people are lunatics. They are insane. They are religious zealots who can never be allowed to possess a nuclear weapon because they have an apocalyptic vision of the future. And all of their neighbors know that, by the way, which is why all of their neighbors have been supportive of the efforts we're conducting.
You call them lunatics, but the president just had this post where he says we're in discussions with a new and more reasonable regime. Let me try to pin you down on that. Who is this new and more reasonable regime? Is the United States in direct contact with them?
Well, I'm not going to disclose to you who those people are because it probably would get them in trouble with some other groups of people inside of Iran. Look, there's some fractures going on there internally. And at the end of the day, I think that if there are people in Iran who now, given everything that's happened, are willing to move in a different direction for their country, that would be great. Imagine in Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran, you'd have a much different country. So we are always hopeful that that would exist over there. It's unfortunate. The people of Iran are incredible people. The people who lead them, this clerical regime, that is the problem. And if there are new people now in charge who have a more reasonable vision of the future, that would be good news for us, for them, for the entire world. But we also have to be prepared for the possibility, maybe even the probability, that that is not the case.
Well, but the president said they are. Is that the case or is it not? I'm just trying to get some clarity on that.
Well, what I mean is, so you have people over there that are saying some of the right things privately. Obviously, they're not going to put it out in press releases, and what they say to you or put out there for the world doesn't necessarily reflect what they're saying in our conversations. But at the end of the day, we have to see if these people end up being the ones in charge, seeing if they're the ones that have the power to deliver. We're going to test it. We are hopeful that that's the case. There are clearly people there talking to us in ways that previous people in charge in Iran have not spoken to us in the past. Some of the things they're willing to do, some of the things they're saying they're willing to do. Obviously, they have to go do it. we're going to test that proposition very strongly because we always prefer to settle things through negotiation and diplomacy. But we also have to be prepared for the fact that that effort might fail, that we are dealing with a 47-year-old regime that still has a lot of people involved in it who aren't necessarily big fans of diplomacy or peace.
And if it fails, the war expands?
What's that? I'm sorry?
If it fails, the war expands?
Well, the war is about this operation, okay, and that's what this is. It's about very specific objectives. The president laid them out on the first night of the operation. I'll repeat them to you now because I hear a lot of talk about we don't know what the clear objectives are. Here they are. You should write them down. Number one, the destruction of their Air Force. Number two, the destruction of their Navy. Number three, the severe diminishing of their missile launching capability. And number four, the destruction of their factories so they can't make more missiles and more drones to threaten us in the future. All of this so that they can never hide behind it to acquire a nuclear weapon. That was our objective from the beginning. That remains our objective now. We are on pace and, in fact, ahead of schedule on some of those things, and we are going to achieve those things in a number of weeks, not in a number of months.
Mr. Secretary, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks, George.
Okay, now he was speaking real bold, wasn't it? He was speaking real bold. He was write these objectives down, okay? Okay, write them down, is what he said. And we're going to achieve them in a matter of weeks and not months, okay? Because my understanding is that Trump campaigned on not having wars, right? Definitely not any long-standing wars. So I guess he's going to have to, go ahead and get this thing buttoned up. Like a lot of you have said in the past, this is not Venezuela, okay? So yes, y'all, what y'all got going on here in the chat here? We have Isaiah Arthur saying, objective is to make sure Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. Those are the objectives. Yes, that is one of the objectives. I agree. Then we have Sabit Muhammad saying, let's go Trump. We have Amanda McCullough saying, what an incredible bunch of bull. Okay. Then we have Sharu Hyder saying, why? What about what Israel do? His objectives are poop. Yeah, I really haven't heard much about what Israel's objectives are, to be honest with you. That's an excellent point. Okay. So moving on, we have a bit of an update regarding boots on the ground, of course, the Houthis being involved in Pakistan, trying to facilitate these peace talks. So let's see what that's all about. Let's get into it.
New threats are flying between the United States and Iran about what will come next in the war. With thousands of U.S. troops now in the Middle East, leaders in Iran believe they are preparing for a ground attack, even as President Trump says.
Okay, y'all. So, a couple things here. We have the Houthis now getting involved in this thing. That doesn't sound like coming to any type of peace agreement or peaceful negotiation when you have those folks getting involved, ramping things up. On top of that, we have a couple of comments in here. Now, what I thought was funny was where is it at? It was Mr. News Troll 982. Let me see if I can pull that up on the screen. Mr. News Troll said, is it showing it? Okay. Okay, now it's showing. He says, negotiating. Hold on, do I have the right one up? Okay, y'all, I showed my response to, let me pull it up, y'all. Work with me on this small screen. Here we go. He said, negotiating with Trump is like playing chess with a pigeon. First, he knocks over all of the pieces, poops on the board, and then shuts around like he won. Oh my goodness. That was, you know what, when I read that, I could visually see that in my mind. Okay. Yeah, shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the platform. Okay. Now, what else do we have here? I saw a couple of comments here about the price of gas that I didn't get to mention earlier. We had Jackie W saying it's $4.20 for regular gas in Florida. This is disgusting. Yes, 419 in Indianapolis. That's from our Vogue. Okay. And what else do we have here? We have LLO777 saying they have to give their people lives for their supporters And for the stock market, that's why they have a Monday briefing. Okay. Is there anything else that I missed? We have Collins 170 saying Trump is finally doing something about the Middle East. News Trolls 982 is saying he's doing something about the Middle East. What are you talking about? He's the one that left the nuclear agreement. It's like an arsonist calling the fire department. Okay, News Troll. We have Lou and you know it here. Welcome to the check-in. Where them fans at? Yes. Okay, y'all. So as we mentioned, we talked about the Houthis getting involved here, Pakistan trying to facilitate these peace talks, and I just don't even know what's going to happen with all this. All right. So now we have a clip from a retired Navy SEAL, and we're going to get his perspective on what's going on. Okay. Let's check this out.
Operation Epic Fury has now entered week 5, and the United States continues to hammer the Iranian regime. Overnight, President Trump took to Truth Social to say, quote, "Big day in Iran. Many long sought-after targets have been taken out and destroyed by our great military, the finest and most lethal in the world. God bless you all." The president's comments come after a series of U.S. and Israeli strikes over the weekend that targeted Iran's steel manufacturing sites and nuclear development facilities. Reports indicate the president is considering a limited ground operation inside of Iran, following the arrival of the USS Tripoli, manned with 3,500 troops, including 2,500 Marines, to the CENTCOM area of operation. The president was asked about the status of military plans yesterday, saying this.
We've had very good negotiations today with Iran.
There you go.
Getting a lot of the things that they should have given us a long time ago. We'll see how it works out, but they're very good. Moving along very nicely.
Are you considering still putting boots on the ground, and would you do that without going to Congress?
I just have lots of alternatives. We have tremendous numbers of ships over there. We don't need them all because of, the power. We're ahead of schedule with Iran.
As the war.
So one thing he gonna let you know is that, hey, I have lots of options and we are ahead of schedule. Okay. So what they say, well, when you put it out there into the atmosphere, it may become true. That type of thing. As you heard from Miss Leavitt, from Rubio and him, he has options. We're ahead of schedule. We're meeting the objectives. That is the selling point right now. They are feeding that to the media. Objectives, we're meeting them. Head of schedule, okay? Lots of options, okay? Keep it going. Keep
War grinds
listening.
on. Iran is continuing its ballistic missile attacks against Israel, focusing attacks on southern Israel in recent days. A chemical plant outside the city of Beersheba was hit with a missile fragment yesterday, causing toxic black smoke to spew from the facility. The area around the plant was evacuated. With these strikes ongoing, a spokesperson for Iran's IRGC talked over the weekend about the war and President Trump.
Trump threatens an issue one morning and retreats that same evening. He talks about negotiations for a while and decides to continue the war hours later.
Okay. What the Iranians don't understand is that President Trump wants them to be confused about the military plans for the United States. We also have another development to report this hour. The Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah launched rockets over the border a few minutes ago. A fragment from one of those rockets hit the oil refinery in the northern Israeli city of Haifa. Guys?
All right, Trey Yang's live for us in Israel. Trey, thank you so much.
Now, I do believe that the U.S. wants Iran to be confused about, the moves that the U.S. is making, because you don't want your enemy to know your next step. So, yeah, I mean, that I do believe, but I believe that if you're going to really go into a negotiation in good faith, I don't know how you can do that if everybody is still attacking one another in the interim and giving these deadlines. Okay, let's keep it going.
Let's bring in retired Navy SEAL and host of the Everyday Warrior podcast, Mike Sorelli. Mike, thanks for joining us. So that is the question here. The president says that he has a lot of options when asked about ground troops, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio also made comments this weekend saying that we absolutely can achieve our objectives without troops on the ground. But that's, at the same time, there is this military buildup with the USS Tripoli in the region right now. So where do you think things are going as we enter a new week here?
Well, Carly, great to join you this morning. You know, Trump is creating leverage through optionality, and when you send the Marines, that becomes real consequences for our adversaries, and he wants Tehran to know that. But you know, this looming ground invasion, Iran wants us to think Fallujah 2.0. I guarantee you, the Pentagon is thinking limited combat operations, which is controlled violence with a map while keeping an eye on the clock. We will not get bogged down in another Iraq-style, sort of mission. And so this is not a 2003 Iraq sort of road to Tehran march. This is limited objectives. That's either key nodes, seizure of infrastructure, or even nuclear material. But that leverage is what gives Trump strength in these negotiations with Iran.
Iranian officials have made comments saying the U.S. is unaware that our men are waiting for American soldiers to enter on the ground so they can set them ablaze and punish their regional partners forever. What should we know about Iran's military if troops do enter on the ground?
Well, Carly, let's look back in history. Iran actually has experience here. They were providing, Iranian special forces known as Quds forces to support the Saudi or the modern militia in Sadr City in 2008, and they were very violent. Ultimately, Iran can't stand conventional army to conventional army. They would get decimated. So what they're looking at and what they understand is the survival of the regime, meaning their soldiers, hundreds of thousands to include the Basij, would trade their uniforms for plain clothes, move into urban centers, hide amongst the populace, and create this irregular asymmetric warfare, which we know in urban environments, and even RAND and the U.S. War College have done studies where urban combat actually declines your technological advantage and bogs you down in a, let's say, manpower-intensive, block-to-block fighting style, which leads to a lot of casualties.
Wow, yeah.
We know that.
Yeah, and Mike, on that note, the Wall Street Journal has a piece detailing just how complicated extracting the nuclear uranium, the uranium material would be. And the bottom line that they have come to is that it would take days to weeks to extract. So the chances of that happening, in your opinion, are what?
I would say they're still high. I mean, a large part of the objectives of this campaign was to remove their ability to enrich uranium, also to even hold uranium. So, think of a Marine or 82nd Airborne style special operations limited raid to go in and seize that material. Now, can we hold it for days and weeks? Yes, given our war power and our strength, we can do that. There's a lot of risk.
That sounds remarkable. And then finally, really quickly to you, because the other big news is that the president says that Iran has agreed to allow 20 more ships of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Do you think that is a sign that they could be willing to negotiate, or could that be self-serving?
No, it's about the regime and their survival. I think what we're seeing is a power struggle within the remaining leaders in Iran. People are trying to consolidate power.
Do you all think that's a power struggle? The fact that they're allegedly allowing 20 more boats to go through the Strait of Hormuz? Do you think that's a power struggle? Let me know in the chat.
Now, a lot of the conversations are going through the Parliament Speaker Golubov, and he's consolidating power. So they are going to give a little, knowing the consequences that we are surging troops, the Marines and the 82nd Airborne forward. They are trying to find the right negotiation standpoints to maintain the survivability of this regime moving forward. That's all they care about.
Yeah, and as Trey was reporting, Hezbollah once again striking Israel, and yesterday the Houthis also entered the situation with 2 missile strikes launched against Israel as well. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time and your expertise as always.
Thanks, Carly.
Okay, y'all. So now we had who was it I saw here? We have Cockapants saying, "What's this guy on? We've seen this play before. You better be sure they know what's coming." Okay, what's the play? Help me out with that. So we have Emma Jacobson, 642. Now let me put this on the comment on the screen here. Let me see if I can do that. Where is Miss Emma? Miss Emma is saying, "Kamala, save us, please." Kamala who? Are you talking about the lady who ran for president and the people didn't select her? Are we talking about that Kamala? Ma'am, she is over there minding her business and allowing this situation to occur as it only can do. Okay. We have LLO777 saying that's a deal Trump had nothing to do with. What deal you talking about? LLO. What deal are you talking about that Trump had nothing to do with? Help me get up to speed on that. So we have LLO also saying a 6-week war sounds like a long-term mission. Okay. And we have Ronnie Pickermate saying, come on, Iran. So now what do you guys think about all this? Like, let's get back to the original question. Are we witnessing escalation or are we watching positioning? Because I would think positioning would be us seeing how the U.S. is bringing all these different troops on Tripoli and all of that over to the Middle East. Okay. That sounds like positioning. You know, the escalating part is we see the Houthis involved now. We see that Israel and Iran are still are going back and forth with the weaponry. Okay. So LL70 got back with me. He said 20 ships going through the straits. Okay, you're saying that. Okay, that was the deal that he had nothing to do with. Okay, gotcha. Understood. I'm tracking with you. Thank you for responding. I appreciate that. For those who are here hanging out, please like the live stream. Push me in the algorithm. Also, if you feel so inclined, go ahead and subscribe, support the channel. It's free. Thank y'all. Okay. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. When I was out and about this past Saturday, I went to go see the cherry blossoms out here in DC at Tyler Basin, and I went to go get something to eat at this place called Old Epic Grill. I have a vlog coming out for that probably next week. Check it out. And while I was out there, I ran into all these folk with these signs. So yeah, I believe I saw the No Kings protesters that are here that was here in the DC area. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what that was about across the United States. The No Kings protest. Let me know in the chat if you participated in one of the No Kings protests that took place this weekend. Okay, let me know about that. Let's get into it.
With No Kings protests across the country, music legend Bruce Springsteen performed at the flagship demonstration in St. Paul, Minnesota. Millions attended rallies across the nation voicing their opposition to the Trump administration's policies. Organizers say it was the largest single day of nonviolent protests in modern American history. Here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
Across the country, from New York, Dallas to San Francisco, millions of people out for the No Kings protests. No ICE in our streets! Demonstrators calling out President Donald Trump and his administration's policies. In Minnesota, Bruce Springsteen performing Streets of Minneapolis.
On the streets of Minneapolis!
The state's governor calling out the Trump administration for going too far with their immigration crackdown.
When democracy itself seems to be at risk, it was Minnesota who said, not on our watch.
Organizers say 3,000 separate rallies on Saturday marked the largest single-day demonstration in the nation. And it's not just big cities. Smaller municipalities, including Buffalo, New York, saw demonstrators taking to the streets.
It's time to speak up. I don't want to be a bystander to this.
Out west, crowds marched down the streets of San Diego. And in Los Angeles, there was isolated violence. Federal law enforcement deploying what appeared to be tear gas. Outside a federal detention center, police ordering dispersals. The LAPD arresting 75 people.
Lindsay, President Trump has not commented on these latest rounds of protests. Now, last fall, Trump did say he is not a king. Lindsay?
Melissa.
Okay, so we've had quite a few, I think it said 3,000 protests that went on this past Saturday. 3,000 across the United States. That's a lot. I'm quite surprised that they had that many protests going on in regards to No Kings. I'm floored actually. Also, I guess Trump's response last fall was that he's not a king. So I don't know. Maybe he'll call it Trump derangement syndrome, whatever that phrase is. I don't know. So let's see. We are going to go ahead on and see what I'm saying King, and see what Trump may have had to say for what happened on this past weekend. Let's get into it.
Guys, Caitlin Pratt is here with me now. Let's go ahead and bring that live picture that Skyfox 5 is flying over there. This is Cobb County. Yes. This is Cobb County, and you guys were just looking at the scene downtown Atlanta. So we're taking you to Cobb County now, just one of dozens of protests just in our state alone across Georgia. I think at last count there are about 57 of them happening today, staggered throughout the day. So we have eyes in the sky, eyes on the ground, giving you the very latest on what we're seeing as far as this event is concerned. So maybe you're wondering, you know, what is the president saying about this? What is the White House saying? Largely, they seem to be dismissing the wave of these No Kings protests, calling them earlier this week, and I quote, Trump derangement therapy sessions, telling the AP the only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them. So last October, following the second round, again, today is the third, President Trump took, President Trump took office, the president said, I think it is a joke. He went on to say, I'm not a king. I work my expletive off to make our country great. That is all. I'm not a king at all. So we keep monitoring, looking for reaction from the president on this. Nothing just yet. But let's talk about his approval ratings, since this reflects what the temperature is right now. Civics, CIVIQS, their state-by-state approval ratings show as of this week, 41% of Georgians favor the president, while 56% are against. 3% are unsure right now. And those, you're seeing those against the president out today with their signs, raising their voices. This is the third time they've done such demonstrations, and they're hoping, organizers say, it will be the largest outpouring. So we'll see how it stacks up by the end of the day. But that first one in June, that was 5 million people. And then in October, of course, 7 million. And maybe some of you are wondering, who's funding this in the first place? Well, different foundations, different unions, grassroots donations. And according to a recent Fox News report, the Open Society Foundations, founded by a billionaire investor by the name of George Soros, they have provided funding to support these No Kings protests. So today, just stepping off about 2 hours ago, the first of many demonstrations set for today. Police on hand at each of these sites across the metro area. We're going to continue to, of course, monitor it for you and bring you the latest here on Fox Local. Absolutely. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about the No Kings protest. And, you know, I asked him this question. I'm going to ask you as well. Anything different this year that you're seeing today than in previous protests? I feel like it was more widespread on social media, the planning process. Okay. It seemed to be more precise in planning, just from my observations, and just the insistence at
I didn't
the
know about a
end of
planning
every
process.
post. This is a peaceful demonstration. Yeah. And just reiterating that fact. But yeah, widespread across all social media platforms, websites, things like that. It seemed to be more widespread in the planning, just really more significant this time around. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
So, y'all, I guess my question is, they were saying that a lot of the grassroots movements and whatnot help fund these protests. What exactly is the expense when it comes to doing the protests? Because don't people spend their own money for like the poster boards? Like, are they paying for some kind of parade fee, if you will? I'm genuinely asking. We have Edward Merida, welcome to the check-in, is saying, God is my king, Trump is my president. Okay, we have LLO777 saying November will show at the polls how Americans disapprove Trump. Then we have Jack Alex Williams saying, I'm British and Charles III is not my king. Okay. We have Edward Marita saying Iran is almost free now. Okay, so understood. So we're gonna switch gears just a little bit. Kash Patel. I'm sure you guys have heard that. I can't say the name of this organization, but they hacked Kash Patel's personal email allegedly. Okay, so let's get into that, y'all.
Just into the newsroom, FBI Director Kash Patel targeted by Iranian-backed hackers. The Department of Justice confirming that Patel's emails and photos have been published online by the Handala hack team, an Iranian-linked group known for cyber attacks against American businesses and government officials. The material published online appears to show personal and work-related messages from Patel dating back to 2010. No word, though, from the FBI on how this hack happened.
Okay, so that took place, and now we're gonna go a little bit more in depth as into what all was shown and what happened with this. Okay, let's get into that.
News that we are following here at this hour. Now, this involves the FBI Director Kash Patel, as we are just getting this information coming in from Reuters. Now, Iran-linked hackers have publicly claimed that they breached FBI Director Kash Patel's personal inbox, publishing photographs of the director and other documents to the internet. On their website, the hacker group there, Handala Hack Team, said Patel, quote, will now find his name among the list of successfully hacked victims, end quote. A Justice Department official confirmed that Patel's email had been breached and said the material published online appeared to be authentic. The FBI not immediately responding to any requests for comment from Reuters or any other agency. The hackers did not immediately respond either to Reuters' messages. Handala, which calls itself a group of pro-Palestinian vigilante hackers, is considered by Western researchers to be one of several personas that are used by the Iranian government cyber intelligence unit. Handala recently claimed the hack of Michigan-based medical devices and service provider Stryker on March 11th, so just a couple weeks ago, claiming to have deleted a massive trove of company data. Reuters was not able to independently authenticate the Patel emails, but the personal Gmail address that Handala claims to have broken into matches the address linked to Patel in previous data breaches preserved by the dark web intelligence firm District 4 Labs. A sample of the material uploaded by the hackers and reviewed by Reuters appears to show a mix of personal and work correspondence that date between 2010 and 2019, so well before Patel served as the FBI director. Now, again, we are hearing Iran-linked hackers have publicly claimed the breach of FBI Director Kash Patel's personal inbox, and they did publish photographs of the director and other documents to the internet. There are reports that one of those documents is his full resume. We will bring you all of the updated information here as we continue to get.
Okay, I'm typing some in the chat real quick. So we have Skelder saying, I'm gonna put this up on the screen. Let me get this typed out real fast. But yeah, Skelder had a comment that tripped me out. Where is it at? It says, here it is right here. He said it just shows that Kash is a normal dude who became an FBI director. Thought that was hilarious because you guys heard, I'm sure, that the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, Wayne McMullen, they said he was a plumber. So, there you have it. Okay. I'm gonna leave it right there. Okay, y'all. So they just pretty much hacked Kash Patel's personal email accounts and things of that nature and posted things on the web. I have not seen the images that were in his personal email account, but the fact that they did it and they're proud of it, they wanted to make sure everybody knew that they were the ones that did it. And what did they say? They said that his name is not added to a list of others who have been hacked by this organization, this entity. Okay. So now I'm sure you guys have heard about Breonna Taylor. She was a young lady that was at home and they did a no knock I want to call it a raid. I don't know what they want to call it, but she ended up getting unalived in her home by the police. So apparently, two of the people of the police that are part of this, they had requested to have charges dropped, okay, and they were eventually approved. But we're going to get into what the family thought about these charges being dropped, okay, because at the end of the day, who they were looking for didn't even live at the house, okay. So you break into somebody's house. Okay, you the police. They don't know you the police when you breaking in. So her man trying to defend the household. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it just didn't end well. But let's go ahead and get into this update.
Welcome back. Federal prosecutors have asked a judge to drop charges against two former officers tied to the raid that led to the deadly shooting of Breonna Taylor. The Louisville, Kentucky officers are accused of falsifying the warrant used to enter Taylor's apartment in 2020. Taylor was then shot to death by police after they broke down the door of her apartment while serving a no-knock drug warrant looking for a former boyfriend who no longer lived there. Taylor's boyfriend at the time fired at the officers, and Taylor was killed as police fired back. Police did not find any drugs or cash inside Taylor's apartment. In September of 2020, the city agreed to a $12 million wrongful death settlement to Taylor's family.
Wow.
And joining us now is Breonna Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, and family attorney Lenita Baker. Thank you both so much for joining us. Tamika, just want to start with your reaction when you heard that the DOJ wants charges dismissed altogether.
Confused and mad. Disrespectful.
Understood. And Lenita, judges have already reduced the charges twice for each officer. What do you know about why prosecutors are moving to dismiss the charges?
We know absolutely nothing about why they are moving to dismiss the charges. They did not communicate that with Ms. Palmer until Friday, probably an hour before the motion was filed. So we have no information about why they made the motion to dismiss. But what we do know is that Joshua James is guilty of lying to secure a search warrant, and he and Joshua Meany and Ms. Kelly Goodlett, who's already pled guilty, did work to cover up what happened. And so they are guilty of a crime and they should be held accountable. And it's very disappointing and disingenuous for the Department of Justice to dismiss these charges.
And Tamika, an attorney for former Detective Joshua James, said that they are, quote, elated with this development. Former Sergeant Kyle Meany's attorney said he's incredibly grateful for this filing and is looking forward to putting this matter behind him and moving forward with his life. Given that you have lost your daughter, I'm just curious what the last 6 years have been like for you and your ability to put this behind you and move forward with your own life.
That is, wow, get it behind him is insane.
Exactly.
They committed a crime, so there's no getting it behind you. Breonna doesn't get to come back. She doesn't get to put it behind her. She was killed because of their lies and negligence, and somebody should be held accountable for that. And this, for me, every day since that day has been March the 13th. There's no putting it behind me.
Ahead of the judge's decisions, what would you like people to remember about your daughter?
Just that, she deserved to be here. She deserved to live her life, and she was in her own home, and she committed no crime. She had no criminal history. She wasn't even a target of the investigation. They had no legal reason to be there.
And to that point that you said she wasn't the target of the investigation, she hadn't committed a crime, she was in her own home, and yet she was shot to death. Who deserves to be held responsible for that?
The officers that were charged. That unfortunately the Department of Justice is executing a political agenda. The officers who the DOJ just filed motions to dismiss for should absolutely be held accountable. The message that they are sending is that it is okay for police officers to go out there and lie to get search warrants. They lied under oath. They lied when they wrote out the warrant, and they lied when they went before the judge and swore under oath that they were telling the truth. And The DOJ is sending a message that that is okay, and it's okay even if people die. And that's unfortunate, and it's not what we should be expecting of our police officers. And so those are the officers that should be held accountable.
Ms. Palmer, I know it's been a long fight for you now for the past 6 years. Are you confident that you will continue this fight?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because again, Breonna did nothing wrong. And to say that it's okay to lie and tell whatever story you want to break down someone's door is unacceptable.
Tamika Palmer, Lanita Baker, we thank you both so.
Okay, so her mom's saying that she's gonna keep fighting to the end. Okay. I see, ma'am. I see what you're doing. You want to make sure that your daughter is vindicated. I hope that she received her 12 million. I hope she got paid that. It doesn't, make things better what happened to her daughter, but she definitely needs to be compensated for their error, especially since they're trying to not put these folks in jail for allegedly, covering up and doing some negligent things. So yeah, that's kind of the update on that. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen this viral parody, if you will, that Drewski did recently. I want to say it made the New York Times. Now, from my understanding, he did not state who he was doing the parody for, right? But it seemed pretty apparent, right? So I'm going to go ahead and play that, and you let me know what you guys think. Okay? Let's get into it.
Get on your feet, boy!
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
how about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the...
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha.
okay.
And Bella will have all organic puck cup.
Organic?
Yes, everything organic.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free? 4, 3, 7. Oh, Hannah, you good?
Okay.
4, 3,
Pilates.
2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes, because they are the ones who mattered most.
Get on your feet, boy!
Okay, so what y'all think about this skit right here that went viral? Now, my understanding is that Erika said she was going to file something against him. Let me look this up here real fast, see what I can find. What do you all think about this right here? Lord, they're saying there's rumors that she sent a cease and desist letter to the comedian Drewski after his viral skit mocking conservative white women, which is widely been considered to be about the Turning Point USA CEO. Let's see. He was okay. He amassed more than 100 million views. They said that Erika Kirk was pursuing legal action. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? She was gearing up to sue him. So yeah, I'm interested to find out like what did she end up doing I mean, this man does, skits all the time for different celebrities. So yeah, I don't know how this is gonna play out. Because if that's the case, then anybody can sue when someone is quote unquote imitating them. What do you guys think? So we have Lou and You Know It laughing. We got Bull Monkey saying he got moves though. Then we have okay, RA2 saying I guess you're saying she is fake. Okay, we got the warmest fuzzy saying hilarious. We have Bull Monkey saying, all right, oh really? Then the warmest fuzzy says, nah, the reports about a lawsuit are fake. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for that. Okay. So yes, y'all, if you're still here hanging out, please go ahead and like the live stream. Consider supporting the channel by subscribing. It is free. Help a sister out. Thank you. But yes, y'all, that is what we have with Drewski here. Some people were talking about the fact that he had the prosthetics and that he was dressed as a white woman. They were saying, is white face not acceptable? How they have black face. I say is white face acceptable? They're doing all those things now. So lots of different commentary regarding the skit that he did. But I mean, I've seen Drewski, the comedian, portray lots of different people of different ethnicities. That's just kind of what he does. So I guess we'll keep an eye on this because I'm really interested in what comes out of it. Okay. So next up, we're going to talk about the situation out in Hawaii, okay? Allegedly, this doctor tried to unalive his wife while they were out hiking in Hawaii, and they had the body cam footage available. So let's get into that, y'all. This is crazy.
The trial of a Hawaii doctor accused of attempting to murder his wife while on a hiking trail is now underway. Yesterday, police body cam footage showed the aftermath of the alleged attack, and that was played for the jury. Now, a warning to our viewers, some may find the video you're about to see very disturbing. CBS News chief correspondent Matt Gutman breaks down what was captured on camera.
For the first time, graphic police body camera footage shows the moment officers arrived on the scene after Ariel Koenig claims her husband, Maui doctor Gerhard Koenig, tried to kill her. Her face bloody, her walk unsteady. Ariel Koenig is seen being helped by two Good Samaritan nurses down a trail path, one of whom had called for help.
We heard her screaming, help, help, help me, help me.
In the police video, the women are seen treating Koenig and bandaging her wounds.
Sorry, I know. No, you're an angel.
Despite those gashes, she is heard calmly describing her husband to officers.
How tall is he? 5'9".
Jurors were also shown the rock Ariel Koenig testified her husband allegedly used to repeatedly hit her in the head.
What does this photo show, Detective?
Shows a photo of the rock.
And which part of the rock?
The jagged side with blood, or what appears to be blood on it.
Prosecutors say this supports their claim that Dr. Koenig tried to push his wife off a cliff on her birthday a year ago before hitting her head with that rock. But the defense argues she started the altercation and that he had acted in self-defense. And to show that Gerhard had hopes of salvaging the relationship, the defense on Tuesday asked her to read the birthday card he gave her that morning.
You're one of the kindest, most giving, and selfless people I know, putting others before yourself with so much love. The kids and I hit the jackpot with you. Love always, G.
The trial is expected to last several more weeks. If convicted, Gerhard Koenig could face up to life in prison.
Okay, I want to bring in CBS News legal analyst Jessica Levinson to talk about this case. Jessica, I want to get your reaction to that video, and we should know, it shows the aftermath of the altercation. How do you believe it will impact both sides of this case?
So the prosecution certainly wants to argue that it helps its case in showing that this was not merely a domestic dispute, that this was so severe that they can show the intent to kill, which is what they need for attempted murder here. They need the intent, and then they need taking a substantial step to do so. I think the prosecution will also say, look, you don't need to trust us on everything. The jurors tend to trust what they can see without hearing secondhand testimony of
Right.
it. The prosecution will say, this shows, again, how severe. This shows the credibility of how of how severe the attack was, what the timeline was. And it means that you don't have to rely on any sort of credibility of saying, how much was she hurt? I think for the defense, they'll say, yes, absolutely, she was in a bad position, but does that mean, in fact, intent to kill? And they'll say she was the one who started. And they're actually making an argument here about self-defense.
Whew, that's interesting. I think you guys heard that their son is supposed to be testifying in all of this, but my goodness, you all have some interesting comments here in the chat. Bull Monkey says, if you're a doctor, there must be better ways of doing away with your wife. Oh, then David Zarowski said the doctor thought her soup was too salty. And then Lou says, Bull, he also tried to inject her with something in a syringe. Yes, he did. Allegedly. But yes, y'all, that is craziness at its best, okay? Now, we talked quite a bit. We got Guitar and Gaming here saying love the stream, but I gotta go and pinch off a dirt snake. I'll be back. All right, Guitar, thank you for hanging out. Make sure you subscribe, honey. And be safe out there pinching dirt snakes. All right. Now, we talked quite a bit when Miss Guthrie went missing. Okay. And so now her daughter Savannah has came back to the world, if you will, and did an interview. And so we're gonna watch a little bit of what she had to say. Dakota, it was very sad, and you can tell that she's blaming herself for what happened to her mom. And I think she has recognized that, okay, you know, your mom is gone, and but she's still hopeful that she can at least know like what has happened, where she is, that kind of thing. But I think she's come to terms that her mother is probably no longer here with us on this side of the earth. Okay, so that's just my assessment of what I saw, but we're going to go ahead and get into it.
And my sister called me and I said, is everything okay? Mm-hmm. And she said, no. She said, Mom's missing. And I said, what? Yeah. What are you talking about? She said, she's gone. And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911. Yeah. She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here. And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open.
Wow.
And that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. Yeah. And it just didn't make any sense.
Savannah jumping on a plane, heading straight for Tucson to help find her mom.
We were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. Mm-hmm. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Yeah. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open. Yeah. And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off.
And her brother had a theory.
My siblings are so amazing. My brother, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and is a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was.
Okay.
And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did.
I hope not. I mean, we still don't know. Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me. And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law. I'm like, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Savannah describing the reality she and her siblings are living in.
It is surreal. How is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes, without her medicine, this little person, and to beg for mercy.
Then came the demands. Multiple ransom notes sent directly to the media.
Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But, you know, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really? When the Ring camera video surfaced and you could see who that person was, just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. To, I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
Yeah. when you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
And it piles pain upon pain. There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother. And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
Through it all, Savannah says she relied on her faith, following her mother's example.
Early on, felt that I heard for one of the very few times in my life, I did hear God speak to me. As I said to myself, I can handle anything, God. I can handle anything. I just can't handle not knowing. We can't handle not knowing.
Yeah.
I have to know. And I heard a voice. And it said,
what did it say?
You do know where she is. She's with me. She's with me. So whether she is on this earth still, or whether she is in heaven, I know where she is. I know who she's with. But we need to know.
Okay, y'all. So you heard what she had to say. Okay. I want to say her interview was about maybe 30 plus minutes. But I wasn't gonna play all that. But yeah, like I said, I think she's coming to terms with some things regarding her mom, and it's very sad that her mother was taken in that way, and she's gonna blame herself for this until she dies, because she thinks that her mom was taken because of her and her success and her wealth. So, you know, I guess that's what it is. What does Bull Monkey say here? If my wife watched this, she'd be talking about it for the next 30 minutes and placing herself in that seat. I can't believe that. I can't believe it. Yeah. Oh yeah. David Zarowski had made the comment that if it was a black person, if it was a black presenter's mother, it wouldn't get this much attention. The Bull Monkey's asking about the privacy of Savannah's brother and sister. And then Lou was saying that I've always thought that as well, but maybe they see it as a form of therapy. People going on live doing these interviews, discussing these topics. Yeah, people deal with grief differently, but I really believe that she did this video because she's hoping that the people who took her mom will see it, and that they may have a conscience and a heart and provide something, to kind of at least give them closure on what has happened with their mom. And I just don't think that these people have a heart or a conscience to do what they did to this woman. And but she has hope. So that's all she has left at this point is hope, y'all. So she's gonna sit here and be on these TV shows, giving it what she got to see that maybe somebody who may know something on the tertiary part of things, might drop a dime and bring some closure to what her and her family is going through. So my condolences to her and the family. I know her mom has not been listed as unalive, but at this point, it's been, quite a bit of time. She doesn't have her medicine all this time, allegedly. And so we can only assume what has happened with the mother. Okay. So, yeah, it's very unfortunate. Okay. But y'all, we have discussed Operation Epic Fury and different things going on with that. Are we escalating? Are we positioning? We got into that type of detail. We also talked about the No Kings protest, Kash Patel being hacked, Breonna Taylor and what has happened with her case, as well as Drewski and Erika Kirk parody, and also the Hawaiian doctor that tried to allegedly unalive his wife. That's still being decided. And then we finally got an update regarding Miss Nancy Guthrie, although it's not the best of an update. Okay. We have David here saying, Stem, bless your heart, you see the positive. I try to. I try to. It ain't always easy though. I'll tell you that. But anyway, y'all, we have been on here for an hour and 46 minutes and 29 seconds. So I am going to do one last thing. If you're still here, please go ahead and like the live stream. And if you feel so inclined, if you like these kind of conversations, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Support your girl. We have Christina here, welcome, saying we have to find these individuals. They cannot go unknown, because if they done it once and got away with it, God knows what else they're capable of. I agree. I really believe that at the end of it all, God will have the last say in what happens to those people. And we may not know anytime soon, but we'll know eventually. It'll come to light eventually. Yep, I believe in that. I believe in karma and all those things. So yeah, those people may think they have gotten away with something, but they really haven't. Mm-mm. And Savannah just has to stand by and wait and let God do what he does. You see what I'm saying with that? Bull Monkey says OBS update. I looked into OBS update, and what I could find is that you needed a like a laptop or a desktop in order to use it. That I could use my phone as a camera to those things. I do not have a laptop that's compatible to an OBS. Now my Restream that I use on my phone does have OBS in it. I just don't have a laptop. Now I could do this with my tablet or the phone, but unless I have like the desktop or the laptop, I'm not gonna be able to like access links directly through the internet, that type of thing. So yeah. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go ahead and get a laptop. I'm thinking about it. I am. I need to sit down and put my mind to it, okay? But I'm gonna do that. I am. We have Lou, you know what, saying like, share, comment, and subscribe. Yes, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Support the channel. Is your jacket peach? My jacket is more of a tangerine color. It's more tangerine, not quite persimmon. We have Christina saying that is true because the truth is always revealed itself eventually. Yes, it does. It may not reveal it when we want it to, but it will reveal it right on time. We've been seeing cases where people have been unalived 10, 15 years ago, and they're now looking into it. They're now finding out who the people were that did these things 20 some years ago. I can't think of the name of the person. It was a African American lady that was murdered in her home, and years ago, like I want to say like 20, 30 years ago, she was unalived in her home. I think her child may have been in the house with her, and they just happened to find out the person that did it. Yeah. So, and I want to say I saw another case recently where a young girl may have been raped and unalived, and they found out who did it maybe in the last few weeks. So things happen when they do. But yeah. So we have Bull Monkey saying you can get a laptop, they're not expensive. No, they're not. I looked at a laptop back at Christmas time, and once I added different things to it, it went from like $4, like over $1,000. So I said, you know what? Let me figure out exactly what I'm doing here so I can get what I need. You know what I'm saying? Bull Monkey said, tangerine, is that even a color? Yeah. Yes, it's a color. It's a different shade of orange. Yes, it is. Yes, yes, yes. But yeah, so I'll be back on Wednesday, 7:15 Eastern. Okay. And I hope you guys join me. And I will see you guys then. Have a blessed night. Have a great day on tomorrow and on Wednesday. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.